Years ago, I was really into sardines and I used to eat them at work for lunch. So I would bring just like a can of sardines and eat it straight. My colleagues were like, "What is that smell?" Someone put a no fish sign on my cubicle wall. Eventually, I was banned from like higher authority from bringing any fish products into the workplace. I just kind of forgot about sardines for a while. I've renewed my interest in sardines, but not just sardines, all of the smash fish. And the smash fish, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring, are cold water fatty fish. Very good for you because they're high in macronutrients, micronutrients, and minerals that you need for your health. They're very high in protein, and protein is an essential building block in your body for muscle and otherwise. And I'll make a separate video on protein. The smash fish are also high in omega-3 polyunsaturated fat, which I talk about in my video on fat, so I won't go into that here. What I will go into is they're high in phosphorus and calcium. Phosphorus and calcium are both minerals that are essential for your bone health. And so zooming in on calcium, 90% of your calcium in your body is stored in your bones and your teeth, and about 10% is in your bloodstream. Calcium is important to regulate your blood levels. And so if you don't have enough calcium in your diet, your body will actually take calcium from your bones to use to regulate your blood levels. Lack of calcium and vitamin D in children can cause rickets, and a lack of calcium in adults can cause osteoporosis. So it's important to get enough calcium. Vitamin D actually helps with the absorption of calcium. It's good for muscle function, heart health, your metabolism, your mood. It reduces inflammation. It's good for your immune system and for your bone health, of course. And vitamin D is a fat-soluble nutrient. So if you're taking, say, a vitamin D supplement, it's useful to take it with a bit of fat. All the components are there for your liver and with help of your kidneys to transform cholesterol into vitamin D as long as you're getting enough sunlight. If you're not getting enough sunlight, it can be useful to take a vitamin D supplement, but it really depends on how much vitamin D you are already getting in your diet from other foods and from any foods you're eating. And it's also a conversation to have with your doctor because there could be counterindications depending on your unique situation. Another useful micronutrient that we can get from smash fish is B12. And mackerel, followed by herring, followed by sardines, are high in B12. B12 produces red blood cells, it synthesizes DNA, it's good for your brain health, your nerve function, and it plays a role in energy metabolism. There are some things to be wary of when eating any fish, including smash fish. So toxins like mercury, PCB, dioxins, and modern PFASs, or forever chemicals, can attach to the fat cells in the fish. And so this is why it's important to limit your fish serving to 2 to 3 4-ounce servings per week. These chemicals and dioxins and PCBs and mercury are not really an issue with younger, smaller fish. And the smash fish, except for salmon, they are younger, smaller fish. So it's not as much of an issue. However, it's something to still be aware of. In part 1, we looked at why smash fish are healthy for us to eat. Now in part 2, let's look at the smash fish population themselves. Are they healthy? Are they in crisis? Are they being fished in a way that is sustainable in that it decreases the amount of pollution, it protects the ocean floor and biodiversity? If the fish are farmed, are diseases managed without the use of heavy medications? And are the working conditions for the fishermen or fisher people fair and humane? These are questions that are all asked by several certification bodies that oversee sustainable fishing practices and make recommendation to us, the consumer of the fish, on which fish we can buy and know that they were sustainably fished or farmed. So the Marine Stewardship Council, or the MSC, it's a nonprofit based in London, UK, but they audit commercial fisheries all around the world, and they make a recommendation on which wild-caught fish are fished sustainably. They only focus on wild-caught fish. Anchovies, sardines, and herring are all wild-caught, and mackerel, most of the mackerel is wild-caught as well. The Aquaculture Stewardship Council, or the ASC, is also a nonprofit. It's a sister organization to the MSC, but they focus specifically on farmed fish. Some mackerel may be farmed, but salmon definitely is either farmed or wild caught. Another certification body is OceanWise, which is based in Vancouver, BC, and they use scientific data to recommend to us like which fish are sustainable, and they look at both farmed and wild caught fish. They base their data on that of Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch, which uses the MSC and ASC as its resource. So it's a good resource. It's a tertiary resource, but it still makes good recommendations. How are these fish caught? Well, 80% of the wild caught fish in the ocean are caught with nets. And so there's various different types of net fishing, like gill nets, which have the most bycatch, and I'll explain what that is. There's bottom trawl and dredging. Dredging is like a metal version of bottom trawling that is used to catch shellfish, but trawling is basically dragging the net. So you can have a mid-trawl where you drag the net through like the middle of the ocean, and a bottom trawl is dragging it right on the ocean floor. So there's a lot of damage to the biodiversity in the ecosystem. Purse seine fishing is generally considered to be the most sustainable type of fishing when it's done using modern techniques with modern equipment. It is the most common type of net fishing for pelagic fish, and all of the smash fish are pelagic fish, which are basically fish that don't hang out near the bottom. They're not too close to the top, but they're closer to the top and the middle of the ocean, and so they swim in dense schools together. Men or fisher people use fish aggregating devices, or FADs, which are, it's just like an object of some sort that's dropped on the top of the ocean. It floats and creates a shadow, and then the fish, these schools of pelagic fish, are attracted to the shadowy spots, and they just hang out there, and then the fishermen can collect them in their nets. Aggregating devices can sometimes be made of non-biodegradable material, and they often just float away. And so if they float away, now you've added to this like sea garbage issue that's out there. They can also have long appendages that can trap bycatch. And what bycatch is like any fish or marine life that is not the target species that you're trying to catch, or it could be the target species, but it's too small to go to market. That's bycatch. And so a lot of bycatch can be on the endangered, threatened, and protected species list, or the ETP species. And so like turtles and dolphins and all sorts of things. Purse seine fishing has the least amount of bycatch, but there is still bycatch. Farmed fish, so sometimes mackerel, but mostly just salmon, maybe farmed. Atlantic salmon in particular is farmed. Farmed fish, they start in a freshwater hatchery, and then when they reach a stage of life called smoltification, they can then have the ability to live in saltwater. And so they can be moved to these open saltwater nets that are in the ocean. And the risk to the local population is that these fish, like there can be water discharge and sea lice from these farmed fish that can damage the natural ecosystem. And so it's better really to keep these fish separate from the local ecosystem. And so there are farmed fish methods that keep the fish in these like giant pools, and they're regulating the water all the time, making sure it's clean, filtering it, etc. So there are farm fishing methods that are sustainable, and the fish are healthy to eat. How would you even know from going to the supermarket which fish are caught in which ways or farmed in which ways? Like, you want the sustainable fish, how do you know? The best thing to do, I think, is to trust the certification bodies, the MSC, the ASC, OceanWise, and just look for their symbols. So the MSC uses a blue check mark, the ASC uses a green label, and OceanWise just like uses their label. So they also make recommendations. You can go on their website and see that there's certain grocers that have their sustainable fish, not meaning that all fish in that store are sustainable. You would have to look for the label, but there's a list of grocers, and then there's a list of brands as well that use sustainable fishing practices. So if it doesn't have any sort of mark, it may not be sustainably fished. It probably isn't. Noting that these companies do have to pay a fee to be able to use the certification label, but they are checked out. It's not like they just pay and they can use the label. They are assessed and audited, and if deemed appropriate, they can use the label. They just have to pay to be able to use it as well. These organizations also recommend specific fisheries, and they recommend specific types of fish. So according to the MSC, the best salmon to get in terms of sustainability and health would be wild Pacific salmon, which actually includes sockeye salmon or red salmon, coho or silver salmon, pink salmon, chum or keta salmon, and chinook or king salmon. Those are all Pacific wild salmon. According to the ASC, which again is the sister organization to the MSC, but that focuses on farmed fish, ASC certified farmed coho or silver salmon and chinook king salmon are endorsed, as well as ASC certified farmed Atlantic salmon. That's not to be confused with wild caught Atlantic salmon, which for a while was on the endangered list due to overfishing. Right now, I read an article recently that said, it's on my reference list, but that said that they're not endangered anymore. So the information's always changing. Just basically look for the label. In terms of sardines, actually, Japan is recommended as a supplier of sardines because they use the sustainable version of the per cent fishing. And there's certain brands like Rainforest Trading and Wild Planet that are endorsed as well. I'm going to post a separate video on sardines 3 ways. Thank you for watching this video about smash fish, and enjoy your fish.